So then I went home and I stayed in bed for a week, and I went back the following Monday and the cast was cut off, and the surgeon said that I was still too swollen for surgery. And that was really hard news to get, very frustrating. And then he said, make sure you keep your foot elevated above your heart. And that's when I realized that I had thought that it was enough to be in bed, but in fact, no, I was supposed to keep it elevated. So I went back home, and that's what I did for the second week, kept my foot elevated. And I returned to the hospital the following Monday, and the new cast was cut off. And then, unfortunately, the surgeon said that I was still too swollen for surgery. I went back home. I spent a third week in bed. So by then, getting the swelling down was the primary focus of my life. I went back on the Monday, and finally, I was deemed ready for surgery. The swelling had finally gone down after 3 weeks. And then it took another week and a half before they could book me in. So by the time I got surgery, it was 4 weeks after the accident. I was really uncomfortable in that new cast. So I went back to the hospital and insisted on them changing it. And when they opened it up, I had a big patch of red here. It had been eating into my leg. So trust your body, and if you think that something's wrong, then something probably is going wrong. During the 4 weeks that I waited for surgery, I really didn't do much. I spent most of my time sleeping. I was very tired. I was also on very heavy pain medication, and I kept saying that I was functioning on half a brain. And because I spent all that time in bed with my leg elevated, I lost all my muscle mass. So it took about 3 weeks of not doing much, and suddenly I had the body of a very lazy teenager. A lot of people thought I was going to catch up on all the reading I've been meaning to do, and that I'd be watching all kinds of things on Netflix. And it really wasn't like that at all. It might be in part because I live alone and I didn't have a family or a partner to help me. So I realized very quickly that I was going to need some help getting food in the house and getting myself to doctor's appointments and that sort of thing. So I spent a lot of time doing this, harnessing the power of social media and email and texting. I got in touch with my friends and I asked them for help, and I had friends bringing me food, doing my groceries for me. My very sweet neighbor came over and she changed my bed sheets for me. I had friends driving me to all my doctor's appointments, and I had friends coming over and spending time. We played a little bit of Scrabble on our cell phones. I realized that I had to be vulnerable and let people know that I needed help. And when I did that, people showed up. And that made me feel quite blessed and quite loved and cared for.